Hello and welcome to another episode of the In Her Power podcast. Hope you guys are doing so well. If you're listening or watching in real time, happy Monday. And if you can see us on YouTube or on Spotify video, hi, so good to see you. I am going to start the episode off with a little bit of bad news. Well, it's not bad news, it's bittersweet news. This is actually going to be our final potty episode for the year for a variety of reasons. But first and foremost, we're at that weird point of the year where we are starting to really wrap things up, tie off our loose ends and prepare for 2025. Over the past couple of months, I have been giving you guys so much free value, so many resources, checklists, downloads, all the things, both on this podcast, on my YouTube channel and over on my Instagram. So I have done a little bit of a run up for you guys over the past couple of months. So we are at that weird point of the year where I personally don't want to learn anything new. I want to really start tapping out and relaxing for the festive season. And I'm going to assume that based on the fact that I have given you guys heaps of value over the past month, you're pretty set too. And if you're not, I recommend you go back and watch all of the Future You series over on my Instagram account, the New Year Prep series, re-listen to all of our podcast episodes, because if there is one thing that you will be equipped to do after you watch all my content, it is to wrap up 2024 on a high note and commence a brand new year with a bang. And if you're still not satisfied, this episode should really tie it all off for you. So that's the first reason. We are coming to the end of the year. I personally don't want to learn anything more. I want to take what I've learned this year and implement it and embody it, but also relax. On top of that, I'm a little bit burnt out. I'm not going to lie. I'm a little bit burnt out. I'm a little bit overdone, overcooked. 2024 was the biggest year for me professionally, personally, financially. Oh my God, we hit some milestones this year. But let me tell you, the brain is fried. Okay. And we don't operate like that. I don't work like that. When I can identify that my brain is not happy or she's a little bit cooked, that's when we actually tap out. That's a boundary I've always set for myself. I will continue to hold for myself. So this will be our final episode for the year, but don't you fret, my little babies. 2025. 2020. You aren't ready for what's coming in January. I think mid-January and January. You're just not ready. You're not ready. I'm quivering in my boots. There is so much coming under the Beck Stewart personal brand, the habit tracker, the podcast. 2025 is the year. Mark my words. 2025 is the year. So in today's episode, I want to share with you exactly what I'm doing over the holiday season to ensure that I finish 2024 on a high note, but also come back with a bang. Now, this is very intentional. This is actionable. And these are things that you can all do pretty much as soon as this episode finishes. You guys know I'm logical, I'm tangible. I'm going to give you activities to do. I'm going to give you tangible steps to take. I'm not just going to tell you to go and wish upon a star and manifest it. I'm going to tell you this is what you're going to do and this is how you're going to do it. Let's get stuck into the episode. So the very first thing that I'm doing to wrap up 2024 on a high note and to come back in 2025 with a bang is through the power of reflection. Now, again, if you have seen the New Year Prep series, you will know that this is actually the first step to the New Year Prep series. So I'm doing my energy audit, my life audit, my lessons, my wins. What have I taken for 2024? And how can I implement that over the next year? What I've learned about myself, situations, business. Let's bundle that all up, wrap it under our arm and run with it in the new year. Another thing that I'm really honing in on with my audits and with my reflection is, Rebecca, what could we do better in 2025? Now we've gone through our lessons, our learnings. What are we taking from this? How are we going to implement this? But what can we actually do better in 2025? What went really well, but how can we be better with that? How can we elevate that? And this is actually probably one of the most underrated questions. How can I elevate what I'm doing really, really well, but what can I improve on? Because this is the recipe for growth, in my opinion. You're auditing, you're reflecting, but then you're taking what you have learned and improving upon that. You're constantly elevating that standard. And before you know it, what once was your highest standard is now actually your base level, because you've come and you've grown and you evolved that far. So a big question I'm reflecting on over the next couple of weeks is, how can I elevate what I did really well, but then how can I improve on what maybe didn't go so well? Beautiful reflections, moments for growth. That also almost build your action plan. This is exactly what I need to do to improve, or I need to do to elevate. these are things I have to do. Let's implement them into our daily routines. Number 2, and I almost feel like this is probably the most important, but I have put this underneath the reflection section because I feel like reflection and auditing and working out ways in an action plan comes first. And then once we've done that, we can then go to the next step, which is setting in, scheduling, and prioritizing intentional rest. So the one thing that I'm doing after I have done my proper audit, I've already set my goals, I've already done my vision board, I'm like set, my brain is like wrapped up and ready to rock and roll for 2025. I've locked in my vision. I'm now going to intentionally rest. And what that means is I probably won't be on social media from pretty much the 23rd of December until the new year. This is so rogue. This is what I like to envision my brain does when I take an intentional rest. If you could imagine me taking out my brain, this is so rogue, taking out my brain, popping it into like a jar of water, and I'm just going to let it sit there and hydrate and relax and just do its thing. And my body's just going to be a shell, and we're just going to lay there and lay there and lay there. The brain's having its rest, the body's having its rest. So that is what I'm going to do this holiday season, is I'm doing intentional rest. I'm getting off social media. There's no need for me to have a look at what other people are doing on their Christmas holidays. There's just simply no way. I have family to see. I have dogs to entertain. I have a husband to connect with over the holidays. Once again, it's been a busy year for him too. I'm really going to make this time between around Christmas up into the new year resting time. And if you are somebody, maybe you're a content creator, a business owner, whatever it is, of course, if you're a business owner, I hear you. It's hard. And of course, you probably have orders to pack or things to do. But how can you integrate more rest than you typically would into that work routine? I know, again, if you're a business owner, entrepreneur of some kind, you can't just take a break. You can't, okay? Especially if you're like me in a growth phase, you physically cannot. Especially if you're also like me and you're a one-woman team across everything you do, it's really hard. But ask yourself every day, how can I insert some intentional rest today? Even if it's just reading a book a little bit earlier than you normally would, or sleeping in a little bit later than you normally would, insert your intentional rest. This is your time to do it. Another thing that I'm going to do to really come back into 2025 with a bang is to declutter and reset my home. Now, I'm not talking about like doing a really intensive spring clean, like break my back kind of vibes. I'm talking about what are some like ways that I can really reset and refresh, declutter my home so that come the 1st of January, we've started in a brand new year. It's fresh new energy, and my home actually reflects that as well. So what I'm doing, I've already put together my list. Of course I have. So what I'm doing is I'm taking down any curtains and giving them a wash. We have like washable seat covers for our dining chairs. I'm doing that. Of course, the typical cleaning and decluttering. I've already done my wardrobe. If you know, you know. If you follow me on social media, you'll know that I did that on my Instagram. Doing a little bit of gardening, cleaning down the patio, doing the floors. And again, this is not going to be done in one day. This is going to be done over a series of days so that again, come the 1st of January, we're in fresh, beautiful new energy, and my home and my mind, my mental state also reflects that. I've had my rest. I'm feeling rejuvenated. My cup is filled again. And I have a beautiful, decluttered, fresh home to reflect this new year energy. On top of that though, don't forget to also do your digital resets as well. So for myself personally, I do a little bit of like a security checkup with all my devices and my social accounts. Obviously, my life is on social media, so I'll go through and I will update passwords, make sure that 2-factor authentication is turned on everything. I will go through, clean up my desktop, delete any unused files or photos or videos, free up some space on my devices. Again, coming into a new year with fresh energy, with a new space, even if that is your digital space as well. And of course, don't forget your mental reset. So take yourself out, do lots of rest, lots of intentional refreshing of the brain. Make sure you're unfollowing uninspiring people in 2025. Maybe go out and buy a new journal for the new year so that you can restart a beautiful fresh journal. By the way, is there anything better than starting a new journal in a notebook? sets my soul on fire. But what are some ways that you can do a declutter, a refresh, a reset in your home, your digital space, as well as your mindset? One thing I am going to do as we get closer to the new year and within the first week of the new year is to really start building my momentum. Now, I'm not talking about going and smashing my first goal of the year. No. I'm talking about taking the baby steps towards something I am working towards. So for me, I am channeling a big, bold year for business. It is the year of the boom. If you've followed me for a while and you've watched a previous episode of the podcast, you will know I'm claiming 2025 as the year of my boom across personal brand, my business, and my podcast. Predominantly though, the business, the good old Habit Tracker brand. So one of the ways that I'm going to build my momentum is closer to the new year, and within the first week of the new year, we are starting the Future You Challenge, which by the way, we start in like 3 weeks. If you haven't yet joined us, this is your sign to get in. We start that on the 6th of Jan, but there's also a brand new product coming under the Habit Tracker brand. You guys are going to die. Like I can't say anymore, but you're going to die. And I'll be prepping and building that momentum for the most powerful, beautiful launch of that within that month. So once I've done my reset, my refresh, I've taken the time to intentionally rest, I will be taking the baby steps to build my momentum for the new year. And I would recommend you to consider, how could you take your first baby step towards building that momentum in 2025? It does not have to be now. I would argue that you start it either just before the new year starts or the first week of the new year, because again, we're making 2025 the year it all changes for us. If you're here, you're watching this podcast, you have all the resources available to you. My Instagram, TikTok, my vlogs, my, the podcast, all the things. You're in the right spot, you're in the right headspace, and you have everything available to you to make 2025 the year it all changes for you. Another thing I would recommend, I have already done this, but I would recommend you do this in the lead up for 2025 or again within the first week of 2025, and that is create your 2025 vision board. Super self-explanatory. By the time this podcast episode comes out, there will be an entire 2025 vision board walkthrough and manifestation hack video coming on YouTube a couple of days after this podcast goes live. So depending on when you're listening to this, it may already be live on my YouTube channel. Otherwise, if you're listening or watching in real time, it'll be live in a couple of days. So head on over. You do not want to miss this one. It's very inspiring, very empowering, but also incredibly informative as well. And last but certainly not least, another one that I have personally already done, set your first 2025 goal. I know how overwhelming setting goals for a new year can be because you have an entire year ahead of you to consider. But to take your first baby step, what is the first goal that you would like to set for yourself? Maybe it's a shorter term one and it's something you want to achieve within the first quarter. Maybe set that and consider, what are the baby steps that I can start building my momentum in? If you need some help setting your 2025 goals or the first goal for 2025, I have an entire goal setting structure that I shared with you in part 2 of the New Year Prep series over on my Instagram. Go watch it. It is very handy, very helpful. And yeah, it should go without saying, but your 2025 goals should be set either before the new year or again within the first week of the new year. They are all the things I would recommend you did to really wrap up 2024 and come back into 2025 with a bang. I didn't want this episode to be too intense, too tip or action heavy. I wanted it to be short, sharp, and sweet, straight to the point. And I hope you loved it. This will be my final time chatting with you in 2024. So if I don't speak to you personally beforehand, I'm wishing you and your beautiful families the merriest of Christmases and of course a very happy, prosperous new year. I will still be posting and sharing on the Beck Stewart account, the In Her Power account, and the Habit Tracker account. So feel free to come over and connect with us over there. In the meantime though, bye for now, and I will see you in our next episode in 2025.